Hi Miranda, I hope you enjoyed your weekend. I want to start by apologizing for not being able to post your video last week. I was having some internet problems. Hopefully you did read the letter I posted that had all the editing and the commentary I wanted to give you. Luckily my stuff is working again, so I can post your video. Before we start talking about the essay, I'm going to give you a fun fact for the week, and this week's fun fact is that Grover Cleveland was the only U.S. president to serve two non-consecutive terms. So what that means is that he was president twice, but not with one term right after the other. So he was both our 22nd and our 24th president, and he served from 1885 to 1889, and then again from 1893 to 1897. So now that we've got that out of the way, we are going to start talking about your essays, okay? So I pulled up your final draft here, and you have once again done a really good job of fleshing out some really interesting characters who are involved in a really interesting plot. I have to tell you, I really wanted to know how this was going to end, so way to hook me. So now I'm going to go ahead and talk about a couple of the smaller errors you have. The biggest and most common thing you seem to be doing is when you end a sentence or add a comma, instead of putting a space after that punctuation mark, you're just putting the next letter to the next word, and it's grammatically incorrect. And the reason for that is that it makes the writing really crowded and difficult to read. So it's a super easy fix. All you have to do is stick a space after the periods and after commas, and you're good. So I would just be aware of that next time you're writing. You also have a really clear voice, and that's a really good thing. It makes your writing original. The problem with it, in your case, is that, well, mostly that you tend to show time lapses by putting like the time spent, so 3 months later in parentheses, just in the middle of the paragraph, and it doesn't work. You can't really do that. So there's a couple of options. If you're really insistent on putting 3 months later, what you would do is you would type it up in sort of its own paragraph and separate it from the rest of your writing so that you can kind of see that break in time. The other option would be to just use it in the sentence as like a sort of transition. So you could put, after 3 months, Oswald really missed Allison. It makes the flow a little better, and that way it sounds more like regular writing instead of like a comic strip or something like that. It's less choppy. The last thing I want to talk to you about is quotation marks. So you do a really good job, like I said, of fleshing out the characters, and part of that, of course, comes from giving the readers insight into what they're thinking or saying. The problem with that is it can be a little bit confusing to readers because you don't always indicate it. So what you're going to do from now on is make sure you put quotation marks at the beginning and ends of your character's speech. So for an example, my name is Alex should be in quotation marks. Also, if you're going to have them shouting something, you don't need to put it in all caps. It's absolutely terrifying. You need to just put an exclamation mark, because when it's in all caps, it sounds like, I don't know, imagine a lion like standing right in front of your face roaring. That's kind of the idea you're putting across, and you probably don't want to do that most of the time, so avoid that. Other than that, I mean, you've done a really good job. Just keep up the good work and continue to write these interesting things, and just, keep these little suggestions in mind, because they're going to make your writing a lot clearer, and it'll make, the drama you're using in your writing a lot more, I guess, impactful if you're separating things and making it clearer when they're thinking or speaking and things like that. So have a great week, and I look forward to your next essay.